Hello. Welcome to the Middle of the Meal podcast with your two hosts, The Worm and
The sandwich.
The Worm and the Sandwich. Two music lovers.
Oh yeah, yeah. Two posers.
Two posers, some might say.
Yeah,
But poser good music taste is equal nowadays.
it's true.
Let's cut the act. Cut the act, bro. Let us know what bands you like, you poser. I see the
All
shirt
right,
you got
bro. All
on.
right. I mean, we got Alice in Chains, right? We got best band of all time, Tool, definitely. Uh, we have Smashing Pumpkins with everyone's favorite William Patrick Corgan. You know, we have Perfect Circle, uh the most
The other Maynard
overrated,
band.
yeah, the most overrated supergroup. Um,
Mm.
just a supergroup. Um, and then I think I'm gonna have to pass this one back over to the Worm because that's like the only four bands I know. So
I mean, crazy that four are just stolen from me. Like those, like good job. I mean, you answered my question as a
thank you,
poser.
yeah,
I
thank
also
you, yeah,
was
poser.
curious. I also love uh Billy's work. Smashing Pumpkins. That's pretty big for me. Like Melancholy's favorite album. Then Tool with MGK. APC Eat the
MG,
Elephant. Not too
it's
bad.
it's actually it's MJK. It's not MGK, bro.
Thank you.
I think
Thank you.
A real Tool fan would probably know this,
A,
but
a real tool as well, one
a
might say.
real
A real
like
tool.
maybe like a Maynard enthusiast, I think, would be
A
the
Pussifer fan, which I don't
Pussifer.
claim to be, but they're out there. They're out there. They're out there and watching this.
First step,
I feel
middle
like
of the
the
meal
Pussifer fans.
podcast, and second step, Pussifer podcast. That's where we're
No,
going
yeah.
next.
I mean, I guess we shouldn't reveal yet, but I think we do want to eventually be magnificent others, as they say in
Yeah,
the business.
yeah.
They say in the business.
Just putting our faces out there. Autumn is my favorite album, by the way, of all time.
Oh yes, we
Uh,
need to we need to put that in there. All
yeah.
33 songs, all instant classics. Our
I just
generation as 19, 20-year-olds, it's music for us. It was made for us, the Gen
yeah,
Z.
yeah, yeah. And I really love the music videos. Um,
Oh, we gotta do some CGI work one day. I think we could maybe rival the fucking the videos.
do you think that we could be in the next Autumn, or not like Autumn, but his next endeavor? Like, do you think we could be in those music videos?
They seem to be worthwhile projects, but I've we might be a little booked by then, but we'll see if we can
Right,
answer his
right,
calls.
yeah,
We'll
yeah,
see if we
yeah,
can answer his
yeah.
calls. But
Well,
no, as two 19, 20-year-olds who like love music, we got our work cut out for ourselves. We're gonna have to listen to
yeah, true.
Autumn.
We have, bro. I told you Autumn is my
Oh,
favorite.
we have.
We have like I on Spotify last year it said I was like the number one listener of that album, I think is what it said. So
Oh no, yes, I can name five.
it said you were number two. I just want to put that out there. I was
Oh, good.
definitely number one.
No, yeah. Between that and Pussifer, I'm quite busy when it comes to
Yeah,
music.
that's right. That's
I'm
right.
quite,
I forgot.
I'm quite busy. I
Yeah,
mean,
has some.
no, yeah. There's some other lesser known things in there like The Cure and like
Oh,
Ween as well. Some lesser known bands, but
Queen.
mainly Pussifer and Pumpkins post 2012. The
So
Lost
that's
Era.
that's one and two on your list there.
Yes, one and two on my
Yeah,
list.
for me, just switch them around, and basically, you
Oh no,
basically
yeah.
have my list right there.
No, as someone who loves Pussifer as much as me, I know you could name
Yeah,
three songs.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna pass this one back to the worm. I think with for being number one band.
No, yeah, I mean, I feel like I just relate a lot to Pussifer as well. Like in my own work ethic, it feels very put together, scrapped together.
Okay,
As
okay. Yeah.
right now
Yeah.
for this first episode, I have a phone taped to my PC to give you the beautiful
Yeah.
visual that I have now, like with
The
the three
production
amigos as
quality.
well.
Three
Yes,
amigos?
the
Is that what
three
we're calling
the three
them?
the three amigos in my background.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Who's my guy? I didn't even get to name him.
I don't think we should spoil too much.
Okay. That's
He's a big guy. It's a big guy.
okay. Yeah. That's for like later on. That's
For later.
yeah. All right. Yeah, the production quality for this podcast is very high. We had a very high budget to work with. So, I'm really pleased that we were able to pull this all together, you know.
No,
Um
yeah, a couple morsels already established.
oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
recording setup, sound,
Yes.
and the
Yeah.
thoughts. The thoughts.
The
There's a lot
thoughts.
for
There's a lot of
all
really
the
good
music
opinions.
ever.
Yes.
Yes,
Every single music.
pretentious, pretentious. Some might say, but
I wouldn't say
I think
pretentious. I
worthwhile.
would say correct is probably the word that I would use.
And this is why you're the sandwich. You see,
I,
I like compost. I like more
compost?
underground. I like more
Compost?
underground
Oh,
things.
I thought
You
you were
know,
calling me trash. Yeah, I'd say I'd say
right?
I'd say the worm is fitting for you. Yeah, for somebody who likes
Who eats
ween.
trash?
I
Apparently,
would say who
who?
likes ween. Uh,
That's a yeah,
I mean,
fair.
so
Worms are
I think
mollusks.
mollusks.
Are
I
worms
mean,
mollusks?
I think
I think
worms
they're
insist upon
mollusks,
themselves. I think they insist upon themselves.
and that's it is a main thing here. That music is quite important to me. I would say
Yeah, yeah,
there's a lot of there's just a lot of for me. I think a part of it is just like the visuals you get when you listen to music. Like, I
right.
think sound is a very great thing. It's very imaginative, very
Yeah, you can
imaginative.
really you can see things when you listen to music, and you don't even need to be like on something, like you know what I
No,
mean?
you don't.
Yeah, you can really see things. You can close your eyes and you can feel the music. It's a really beautiful thing. I think some people can't, but I think 90s music is really good for that, for being able to visualize like, what it is that they're trying to tell you.
And I would say something about that is for 90s music, I think it is mainly just the mainstream at the time was band oriented. I think when there's sound coming from four people, I think just makes each sound more personable, I guess. Like how
Right.
hard the drums are crashing down, the way the bass is played. Like it is human. It is human. The sounds are human.
I agree with that.
Not that the modern day is bad. Like I do think synthetics maybe broaden the scope of what you can show, but I think the human aspect is not there as much as it is with like instruments.
I just think that the lyric writing for what's popular today as well is it's very different. Um, I mean, I'm not super well versed in the music of today, I guess. I'm a little more underground, as they say.
Niche.
But yeah, niche, yeah. Um, but I think just the way that we write lyrics today and definitely the way that we make music, I would say that there's a lot more artists today that are just like single people instead of like a whole band, you know? Is that something you'd agree with?
That's definitely a potential limitation. I do see that. And I do think it's also, I think this is more so of a belief, not opinion, that the best music has already been made. Because,
I do agree with this. Yeah.
and I would say in the songwriting aspect, mainly just because I don't think our language has evolved that profoundly. Because how do you really write a better love song than the ones of like the 70s and 80s? Like, how do you just verbalize that better? I don't think we have like new words like unlocked.
So you do you think it's in like a language limitation is what you're saying?
I think that's part of it, that we just maybe when we write songs, we're just so influenced by the past. Are we really advancing upon those concepts, or just really taking so much influence that we're essentially just saying the same thing with a different coat of paint on top? I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying that's what I do see.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the songs that are popular today, especially love songs, do have uh some of what you said was like a nostalgic aspect to it, and I think that that's what makes some love songs like so popular or well known. So I guess I'd agree with that a little bit, and I think I do agree that like language is somewhat a limitation. There's only so many different ways you can write a certain amount of words. I think I do agree with that.
Yeah, and I like, just to be on like the subject of love music, like lovey-dovey kind of music. I feel like that's something that's very generational. It seems to be with
Right.
songwriting. Like you don't see much of like say what Tool writes nowadays is I would not say is really in the mainstream.
Mm.
Like topics like that no are kind of missed.
Yeah.
Well, missed, but I don't know about missed. Fear
I think they
inoculum.
definitely Fear Inoculum made an impact. I don't know if it was the impact that was intended, maybe. It definitely made an impact, I think. I think it would be hard to say Fear Inoculum didn't make an impact. Not that it's all bad. It's just
No,
very
sure.
different from Tool. Tool in their prime, as some would say. I think, but for
Tool
some
of
people, Fear Inoculum
yesteryear.
is Tool in their prime. You know, so I mean,
Which that just says something about music, I think. That just says something about music. Maybe you were listening to that at the right time, you
right?
know? And like
Yeah,
that's just how that opinion forms with nostalgia. Like, maybe you're nostalgic for when that came out.
yeah. I would
You
say
know?
nostalgia does have a very large impact on what what songs, what bands, what music is influential to you. Like to me, Smashing Pumpkins is a very nostalgic band. I grew up with Smashing Pumpkins. Um, and so I honestly hold Smashing Pumpkins in a different regard than I do, say, a similar band, The Cure, right? Even though I
Mhm.
respect them both in probably kinda similar ways, because Smashing Pumpkins is so nostalgic to me. I definitely hold it on a different level. You know, it's I couldn't compare them. It's like apples to oranges because I have old memories with Smashing Pumpkins. I don't have that with The Cure. You know.
Yeah. And I think that's a good thing that just exists, I think, because I do think they are different. I do believe one just to be more mature because that's just what it set out to do, you know.
Right.
William is quite juvenile, so he has a knack at
Is this
writing
is
those
this
stories.
do we want to put this out there yet when we're trying to be on Magnificent Others? I mean,
Right. So
that's
we'll
quite
talk
a
about him on there, or with him. We'll talk with him on there, right?
okay, okay. Yeah, we'll have to scrub that out, I think, because
Yeah.
we're not trying to
He
get on
could
his
see
bad
this.
side.
He could see
He
this.
could be our very first viewer. Thank you for joining us, William Patrick Corgan, on
On this lovely
this
evening that we're having.
yeah, yeah, exactly. This like magnificent journey. Not as magnificent as you, but definitely pretty magnificent.
Or Oceania. Good job on that one, by the way. Good job on that one.
Is Oceania or Autumn better?
I think we like save the tougher questions for next episode.
Okay, okay. So should
Maybe
we
even, yeah. We should hold off on the big
yeah.
ones
Okay,
for
okay.
now.
So it's time to dive into the dirt or dig into the
I
dirt.
think it is time
One
to
of the
dive
two.
into the dirt of one of our
All right.
mutual favorite albums.
Yeah, definitely. Dirt.
It's a
I
very
mean,
spicy album. Very
oh
spicy album,
yeah,
I think.
yeah. And I mean, I think there's a reason that, I mean, obviously there's a reason that it's so popular. But I think that there are songs in this album that are still timeless or that our generation can relate to today. Even though I would say that which, I mean, tell me how you feel about this statement, but I would say that drugs, and especially like heroin, are not nearly as influential on our generation as they were on the, you know, 18 to 24-year-old age group in the 90s, right? Would you agree with that?
I would agree, and I do think that is. I think that's just a generational thing because I think the heroin from that generation in the 90s just came from the generation of the 80s and then generation before. I do not think heroin is just that popular of a thing for the average young person to even encounter really anymore.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
But again, that
they wrote a
doesn't,
lot of good
yeah,
drug albums in the 90s for sure. I mean,
almost all of them are drug albums, and that must say
yeah,
something.
it's definitely interesting that we've veered away from that as a generation. I
Um,
think
well,
no?
or, I think not as a generation, but in music it is shown. I think in music
Okay.
it is shown. I don't think albums as brutal as Dirt are like just mainstream affairs anymore.
Right. Right. Yeah. No. Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's probably still being made, but I'm just maybe I keep my efforts in larger spheres, you know?
Right.
Maybe I'm
Poser.
not as underground as I think.
Poser is what some people
Okay,
say.
Really?
But
Poser? Really?
I
This is
mean,
the
it's the
guy
language people.
they called Maynard James Keenan MGK not 5 minutes ago, and I'm the poser. And this is why you're called the worm. You really are. I mean, you're a bunch of compost.
No, like I am a big fan of Opiate. I'm a big fan of Opiate.
Okay.
A little more underground for you, Anima fan or
Oh,
something. I
really?
don't know.
Really? Can you name three Tool songs, please? Just three.
Of course. Sweat, Blood, and Disgustipated. Those are three just carbon classics that me and my people listen to.
Your people? You and the other
Yes,
tools?
me and the other tools. Like you can stay
Okay.
with your parabola or whatever else he made after
Okay.
like what 1993. The fall off was interesting. Well, not fall off. I love Pussifer, but
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
changed. It changed.
Right. Right.
Just like with, I think music. I don't think them Bones would be like the number one on the Billboard nowadays because I just don't think that's what people are really looking for.
Yeah, the people are looking for Pussifer, I think.
No, yeah, I think the people are just looking for poppier sounds. Like I think like just the song "Them Bones" is just a very brutal song. Starts off with screaming.
Yeah, some say we're born into the grave. I mean, this is a, you know, I would say that Them Bones is probably the best song on this album that relates to today's generation, especially since our generation has, which when I say our generation, I'm talking about, you know, Gen Z. So what, I mean, what is that now? Like 16 to 24? Or maybe it's a little past 24-year-olds, right?
The
But
little Pat.
yeah, I think "Them Bones" is the best song off this album that resonates with Gen Z because it talks so much about being alone and lonely, so much so that it basically leads to nihilism because like he's so alone that not only does nothing matter right now, but nothing ever mattered, and that we were born this way, that we were born feeling lonely and alone.
No, yeah, I it's a very nihilistic view on morality from this person who
Right.
yeah just believes that they're just a set of bones who's just gonna rot away because they are all alone. And I think it ties in. I think a lot of people want a legacy. I think a lot of people want a legacy.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. And so we think that yeah, I mean in this I guess Lane in this point of view, he didn't really see himself leaving behind a legacy. You know, because I'm trying to think in the context of like why you would write such nihilistic lyrics. Like this is hard. Like nothing ever mattered ever. You know, because I mean he says we were
Yeah,
born into the grave.
yeah, and I again, like you said, I do think this song resonates with people of this generation. Like on apps like TikTok, I definitely see this song being used more than others. I don't know if that really is because it's so nihilistic. It is just a cool song.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah,
the riff's hard. But I
we've all
think
seen the
also a lot of people
memes.
just feel like they're just like a corpse walking around. They just feel kind of empty.
Like you think that that's how our generation? Well, yeah. I mean, I think I would agree with that. Yeah, I do feel like
Yeah,
I know a
like
lot
it's
of people this way.
yeah, because I feel like loneliness is often just a problem because it is a feeling of emptiness. Like that's why a lot of people have such an issue with being alone. Lane
Right.
Staley.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and you know another thing about this song, I think that I think it's a very effective opener because it uses so much imagery from the album cover, like you know, Dust Rise right or Right On Over My Time, and then Dead Gone Under Red Sky, and then it's also just a very like I don't know. To me, this album feels like getting pulled under. You know what I mean? Is that kind of or this song? That's how it feels to me. So I think that it's a very effective, both using imagery from the album cover and just it being a very like deadly song. I do think it's a very effective opener for how we want to feel for the rest of this album.
It is a brutal song. And then what's the first like part of listening to an album? It is like looking at the album cover. I do think, yeah, this does a very perfect job at that. And I like what you said about the feeling of getting pulled under because I do feel with the other songs of this album, I feel like some of the songs in this album are quite suffocating, but this one is definitely, yeah, you getting pulled under into this mindset of this person or the people that made this album. You can see that, yeah, the pulling under aspect for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I guess I don't really not that I can think of. There's not a lot of other songs or openers that I can think of where they're really using like the album imagery this effectively. Not that I can think of for it's almost like sometimes I feel like they worry about the album cover like after the fact, whereas I think for this it was really integrated. Like I really feel like Lane and Jerry they wanted this to be like an immersive experience for like from beginning to end. And I think that began with the album cover. They made all these songs with the album cover in mind. I don't think that even a lot of bands of the 90s really did this, you know.
Yeah, and that might be a very solid reason why this is one of my favorite albums. The imagery is quite solid. And I think nowadays the album cover might be a lost art. I feel like nowadays the album cover is just typically, honestly, just seems to be like the artist's like face, which seems to be more of like a marketing thing
Right.
than a part of a grander story being told here.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
And then with them bones, like the idea of just being bones, and then there's a permanence in that. That yeah, that's you forever, and I think that goes into the song "Rain When I Die."
Yeah. Maybe when I die. Is this our next move? This is a pretty heavy one.
Yes, this is a heavy one, and I think the main thing here in "Rain When I Die" is just like accepting your life is gonna end in this tragic way, but you are also so lost in this thing. The main topic of this album, heroin. They've been pulled under so much that yeah, it's just gonna rain when you die.
But do you think that Lane thought this was a good thing? That like it's gonna rain when I die, this is a good thing. Like everything that is me is being washed away. Right. Like Or do you think that this was maybe not a good thing, that he didn't see this as a good thing?
I think it's a tug and pull. I think
Okay.
it's a tug and pull between those emotions. Because I
Yeah.
do think the heroin does make him happy. Like it does make
Yeah.
him feel good emotions, but it's also
Right.
that subtle realization that he's gonna die doing this thing that does make him feel something.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess like on that, because we're, when Lane, or I guess, when he's singing this song, he's referring to it like a she throughout the song. And I think a lot of people automatically assume this must be like a relationship thing. I've seen a lot of the discussions I've seen online about this. It's like, oh, he's talking about like a toxic relationship. Um, but I really don't think that's what's happening at all. Um, I know we spoke about like the other time where I've seen she being used as a placeholder is Vermilion Part 2 by Slipknot, and he's talking about she being happiness, and so he's referring to that throughout the song. This she, it's not a person, it's a thing, right? And I
Mm.
think it's the same concept here in Rain When I Die. And I guess I just want to ask like what you think about the she. Like I think we can both agree that the she is his heroin addiction, right?
Right. I think the she is even more so directly just referencing the power it has over him.
Okay.
I think I think the power it has to make him lie about things, the power to lie to himself. That is that is like I think the central thing of the song is either you lie to yourself about this not affecting you, or you just accept that it's gonna rain when I die. Like
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because one of the things is, I mean, like the she in this song seems very overbearing, but it's like, I think it's like a gradual buildup, you know. So like one of the lines that he uses is, "She won't let me hide. She don't want me to cry." Right. To me,
right,
this is very obviously the addiction, right? Um, because the addiction won't leave him alone. That's the addiction not letting him hide, and then the addiction doesn't want him to cry, right? So this is, I mean, it's so overbearing to the point to where even if it leads to apathy, he wants to continue this addiction. And even more into that, he talks about I can help her but won't, and now she hates me. So I think when he's in this line, to help her means to basically like stop using the drugs, I think, right? And that would be like helping the addiction. um but because he won't, now the addiction is even worse, right? And I think, something you spoke about earlier was like the continued iteration of throughout the song, he's just, it's gonna rain when I die, right? And I think that's part
yeah,
of it, is like the addiction is, even though it's just getting worse and worse, it's almost like he's kind of had this thought from the beginning, from the beginnings of his addiction, or maybe it wasn't so bad, and he still felt this way, and that's what led into the addiction, and the addiction just amplifies the feelings, I think.
and I think like the vocal delivery just says. I mean, the last maybe 30 minutes of the song is just like him yelling. I think it's gonna rain when I die. It's not so much yelling when it's first brought up. So I do see your point on that. It is a
Mm-hmm.
progression of this feeling that at the end is no longer just like a tug and pull of emotions that sits in the middle that I might die. It's it wins in the end. I
Right.
think it is gonna rain when I die.
And I guess we can also talk about like the circling back around, because the actually like the beginning and the end of the song, they're the same, right? Like he's
Right.
doing the moaning thing at the beginning and the end, and at the end of the song, right? So, especially if we're imagining the song as like, oh, this is him like going through the addiction and it's just getting worse, right? But then aspects of it were always there, you know?
Yeah, and I think other songs definitely touch more upon that, like relationship with this did not begin with the concept of loneliness shown in them bones. It probably began way, way further back in life.
Right. Yeah.
Because right now, at what Rain When I Die is like the third track on this, I think the next song, Down in a Hole, really moves away from the more so just totally nihilistic aspects of this character and starts to show that this is just a person who wanted good things for themselves, but maybe just got lost in all this.
Right. Yeah. Are we going into Down in a Hole?
I think we're digging into a hole where we're digging
All
down
right,
into the
all right.
tomb,
This,
the
yeah,
tomb
I
where
would agree that
flowers bloom.
Down in a Hole is a very it's a very different song. I think a lot of people think it's more directly because Cantrell helped write the lyrics for this song, I think. So people think it's a lot more directly related to like a relationship. Um, but I think you're stupid if you don't think that every song on this album can be directly related to, or most of the songs on this album can be directly related to the addiction, right? Like that's what this song is about. Or it's about the effects of the addiction, right? I
Well,
mean, what do you
sure, but
think
I
about the first couple of what do you think about the first couple lyrics? Bury me softly in this womb.
I think I think that to me sounds like it's almost comfortable a little bit to be in that spot. And you know what? Maybe it is for a while. But then we see later in the song he would like to fly. Like he would like to fly, but his wings have been denied. Maybe that's showing the bad aspect of the addiction that you can no longer fly away from it. That maybe it felt safe and warm at one point, but now you can't get away.
Yeah, I'd also the first two lines of this song, right? Bury me softly in this womb. I give this part of me for you. I think the part of me that he's referring to is who he was before the addiction. I think that's what he's saying. Like he's talking to the addiction. I'm giving this part of me for this feeling of being in the womb, right? Um, and then sand rains down, and here I sit. That's just like the passage of time. What do you think? What do you think the wings are when in this song? Like,
I think the wings are both the metaphorical vision of like flying away as like salvation from this thing, and also maybe what he felt like he should have just been as a celebrity, as a famous person, when probably becoming more famous, becoming part of a band, just because of the culture of the 90s and how bands were back in the day, the addiction probably just grew
right?
during that.
Yeah, because we know like the whole band struggled with addiction, right? Because I think that like you don't understand who they thought I was supposed to be. I think that this was a line from both Cantrell and from Lane, right? So I would agree with that. Yeah, I think that a lot of like these wings are maybe who he was supposed to be, um, but maybe he can't be because of the addiction. So it's the addiction that's denying him the wings.
Oh no, for sure, it is the addiction denying from the wings. That's why this hole is again burying, as we talked about with them bones. It is for it just going down and under dirt, under pressure from this addiction that the power that it has over you. You're buried, like you're buried. You feel like you're buried.
And I wonder if being down in a hole, like I'm also beginning to wonder, was this like a Is this like literally a metaphor for drug usage? Like a hole being like, like uh, heroin syringe, right? You're down in the hole. Like there's like there's a hole.
I bet we
Are
can
you
get
picking up what I'm
we can
putting
get a
down?
comment. We can get a commenter to fill us in on that one. I'm not too
A
well
commenter?
versed. You never know. I think we'll reach a wide audience that we might get some input like that.
Oh, like that's like what, or are you saying somebody's gonna call me a poser? Or that I'm like, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh, the comments will have plenty to say about plenty of choices that are being made by the both of us, but I don't think
But
I'm too
mainly
well
me is
versed
what
in the
you're
lingo.
saying. I think is what you're
Mainly
saying. It's
you.
mainly me. Okay.
Mainly.
I just want to
Mainly
point
you.
out you're the worm. I just want to put that on the air real quick. Make sure that that's, you know, well known.
And you're the sandwich. I mean,
And the sandwich is multi-layered, you know? And there's a reason for
multiple
this.
bands that you pretend to like, and that's okay. I mean, you do
Okay.
like Angel,
Okay.
you do like Alice in
Wow.
Chains. You have the shirt. You have the shirt.
I do have the
So
shirt.
you
I have the earrings. The cool
oh,
earrings. We're sharing these with the
I didn't
class.
I didn't know we were such super fans.
Yeah, look at my earrings. I'm sharing with the class, These are oh, but these are trademarked, by the way. If anybody tries to make these, like I
Those
can
are
sue
cool.
you. Yeah, they're pretty cool.
And
I can only
the other
imagine
Alice in Chains fans.
how many people in the comments are wishing that they had a pair just like this. You know, very many, very many.
Was that our first little ad break right there?
That was our first little ad break. Yeah, you can't buy these. You can one day. When we've stopped needing to tape our phones to our monitors, to get the podcast rolling, and when I don't have to put my monitor on a coffee table so that I can record myself. Basically, what I'm saying is when the production quality is a little bit higher than what we've been so graciously afforded, then you'll be able to buy these, but not yet. So, but it's in the works.
We're
So stay
we're
tuned.
we're getting there. We're crawling. We're crawling towards the
That a
studio.
Tool
We're crawling towards the
reference?
studio. Oh, crawling away. Maynard's playing that one right now, as well as
No,
H.
he's listening to Maynard's listening to the new Pussifer single, I think.
I did see a TikTok about that today.
Yeah. That could be us right now,
And
but here we are talking about you
dirt,
know, yeah,
dirt,
dirt.
talking about
Mhm.
dirt. I know this is a very dirty album, and I think,
Thank
and I
you.
think the song. Thank you for noticing what I did there. But
Yeah.
I think the song Junkhead really maybe puts you into the mind of the average person who does this. Because I think Junkhead, there's a lyric in there that when it talks about the stoners, junkies, and freaks, like they're an elite race of their own. And I think, do you think that means that people who are heroin addicts, do you think they have different capabilities than a person who doesn't?
I guess like what do you mean capabilities? I think that they think very differently. This is actually one thing that I wanted to talk about for a different song. But I think like the addict who is aware of himself suffers way more than the addict who isn't. And I think there's definitely a difference. Lane was an addict who was very aware of himself, and I think that he suffered a lot more than, how do I say this? I'm not saying like an intellectual addict, right? But like there's definitely a difference. Maybe it is an intellectual difference, right? The intellectual addict suffers a lot more than somebody who's maybe not aware of why they're doing this, what the problem is, why they can't stop, you know?
Right. I do, but then Yeah, I for sure. This is definitely a very the person who wrote Junkhead this song. There's a lyric in there. Are you happy? I am, man, content and fully aware. That yeah, this is a person who knows what they're doing, why they are feeling these things, and they continue to do it. Why do you think that is? Why do you think the continuation is?
Like the continuation for using the drug.
Yes. Well, the continuation outside of it just making you feel good. Do you think there's something else there, like behind that, just the feeling?
I mean, gosh, that's a hard. I feel like maybe that's a question only an addict can answer, right? Because like, and I mean, we'll talk about this in Angry Chair, right? The up and coming song. Uh, but
Right.
I feel like that's just one of, I feel like that leads to the question of why does somebody even start using drugs in the first place, right? And it's easy for
Right.
me, a non-drug user, to like listen to these different reasons that people have and be like, "Well, that's stupid," right? Why would your first thought be, "Oh, I'm struggling with this issue," or, but I'm going to start heroin because of this, right? Like why would you do that? Um Easy for me to do as a non-addict, but I think that's just a question. I think that's a question we ask all addicts. A question that I think Lane Staley was able to answer. But I think a lot of addicts probably ask themselves this question, why did I even start in the first place? And I think a lot of them can't even answer that question, you know?
Do you think it's because it's just so buried under the effects of the drug? Is that the main thing there?
I think for a lot of people it is. I think when you're really heavy into the addiction, I think that that's what it leads to, right? I think that
Right.
it's there was an underlying issue at some point. Maybe for some people there wasn't. Maybe they were just around it a lot, or they were familiar with it. They were exposed to it. Um, I do think that it could be just buried under the effects of the drug, but I think for some people maybe not. Right? I really just think it like that's just one of those questions that we ask addicts, like why'd you even start in the first place, right? And that's a question that some addicts can't even answer, you know. I don't know how many addicts you know, right? Uh, but that's just a difficult question, I think. And I think that, really, I think that's the question that you're asking almost, you know?
Basically, yeah. Yeah, like I that's why I think the song Junkhead is so poignant on that maybe only a user could understand another user's mind or could way more easily empathize with it. I mean, that's a lyric
Right.
in there. You can't understand the user's mind.
Good night, the best in a long time. That's another thing too, is like when we get to the point of where I think it's just human uh what's the word I'm looking for?
Routine?
Human routine, or some along that lines. I can't, the word won't come to me, but like human nature. That's the word I'm looking for, nature. I think it's human nature to like never be satisfied. Like you can't have enough, right? You're always going to want something more. It doesn't matter how much you have, you're always going to want more. And I think that drugs, especially like heroin, are uh they really amplify this effect, because it's not just human nature, but it's the nature of the drug. Like you can take you can keep taking heroin, and you're eventually going to, you're going to get a high and you're going to level off to the effects, right? You're going to have to keep taking more and more to get to the point to where you're still getting that high that you want, and obviously when you go through withdrawals, I just think it's really interesting how drugs almost kind of mirror the natural tendency of humans to not be satisfied with what is, right? Heroin, you're naturally going to need to seek out more every time you use it. I think that's really interesting. He kind of talks about that a little bit in the song.
Yeah.
Um,
So sick to the hypocrite norm, I think,
mhm.
is referencing
Yeah.
that. Running their
Yeah.
boring drills, that's definitely. This is, I think, the one song in this album that does talk about society as a whole and their maybe view on him as a drug user, which makes me feel
Yeah.
like this is an individual that has been buried under by this dirt for a while then, for sure, to be so content about the fact that they indulge in it all the time.
See, that's how I feel about Down in a Hole though, where I'm like, Down in a Hole is such a suffocating and sad song that they wrote, and yet still nobody could help them. Like, it's crazy that something like that exists and Blaine didn't get the help that he needed, you know? When it's such like an obvious, to me, cry for help, and yet nobody could help him, you know? Not to the level that he needed.
I think that's something that could have been different nowadays, actually.
Really.
I think we're more open about things like rehab and just the fact that you do drugs and that you can get help for it now than maybe before. And I do think it has to do with just the stigmatization of it.
But I feel like, see, I don't agree with that because I feel like
Hmm.
today there may be more access to resources. I think that that's just a a byproduct of having the internet. You know, you can look up I'm struggling with heroin, and a bunch of resources and a hotline pops up. I think that's part of it, but it's not like ingrained in our society today like it was in the 90s. If somebody like I don't even know I've never met somebody from our generation who's had an issue with heroin. This is like purely a Gen X problem. I mean, I'm saying me personally, right? I'm saying it's not ingrained in our society as a generation today like it was in the 90s. So if somebody came to me and was like, "Hey, I'm really struggling with heroin," I wouldn't even know where to begin. I'd be like, "Where are you even getting this from?" Right? Like, and where would I bring
That
you that would actually give you the help that you need?
that's fair. Yeah. I guess I kind of ran around my own point then because it was more common to do heroin back then for sure.
Mhm.
But then does that mean people shared experience, they could help others more? Because I mean, obviously not the case considering what
Right.
happened to Lane Staley.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it would be interesting. Yeah, like how did people even recover back then? Obviously, some people did recover, right? I mean, Cantrell was also a very heavy user and he recovered, right? So, but
Well,
I
he
don't
too is a
know.
very good musician. Very good
He
musicians
was,
seem to do
yes.
hard drugs at some point in their lives,
Are
which is
you
interesting.
are you like prophesizing this for us?
Not so much prophesizing because I think we have their wisdom now. We have their wisdom. I mean, even the people that the 90s musicians were influenced from, I do believe music got good when people started doing drugs. Music got good in the 70s. It just
And then
did.
it got worse when they started getting married. But that's a topic for another episode.
That's a topic for another day with maybe a couple people that we'll focus on.
I can think of two bald individuals in
We'll call him
specific.
WPC, I think. You know what?
WPC? Oh, okay, yeah.
Why is Maynard the only one with an abbreviation? Maybe other people want to get on that
MGK?
trend.
MGK, you said, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
MGK,
MGK.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not going anywhere.
No, but I think abbreviations are good. Like think about
Yeah.
me like W. You can call me W one day.
We're not calling you the W.
The W.
So what would mine be then? The S? The
What
SW?
what is in the sandwich? Like what are these layers? Is there lettuce? Is there
Oh
lettuce in
yeah,
the
yeah.
sandwich?
And tomato. And
That's really interesting.
there's a lot of meat. It's very hearty. It's a very it's a very hearty sandwich.
Is there cheese? Is there cheese?
Um, some people are lactose intolerant. I don't want to like
So the sandwich isn't
uh
toasted as well. The sandwich isn't toasted.
well, you are very full of yourself if you're like eating a toasted sandwich. I'm sorry. Like if somebody goes into the Subway and they're like, "Hey, can I get here's what I imagine people with toasted sandwiches, right? Can I get a ham on rye and can you toast that please?" That is exactly what I imagine that exact order.
Were you employed at a Subway in a recent time period? This seems like
I'm
a very
just
personal attack on someone, maybe
why
even
are you
me.
toasting a sandwich? Why? Like
You're
go
adding to the
home.
sa-
You not own a toaster?
So is the sandwich not made in house? It really sounds like you were a Subway employee. I'm sorry.
I was not a, I can empathize with uh today's today's Subway employees, I think, you know. I really hope that next time I talk to a Subway employee, I'm going to ask them this. Like I'm going to ask them about the toasted thing and I can guarantee you they're going to say they put it on rye. Like 100% guarantee.
Well, I sure hope they do. Rye is a hearty bread, as you used that
Okay.
word previously, hearty. No, but when talking about there is a difference between sympathizing and empathizing. Like maybe you didn't work at Subway, but if we're talking about like things like the song "The Angry Chair," right? I can
Oh,
recall
angry
having
chair.
like having punishments as a kid, right?
Sure.
Like maybe like yeah, like the idea of just go to this chair because you were like bad. Okay. And I can empathize with that, right? But this song seems to be like a little deeper than just the idea of a punishment, or maybe what's so punishing about this experience of being on that chair.
Do you
I
think
don't
that
think I can
Lane
sympathize with that.
do you think that Lane felt like hatred towards his parents for using this punishment? I wouldn't necessarily say this was a poor punishment, but it seems like the way that he talks about that punishment in the song, it became like such a formative thing for him. Like it's almost like he like loathed introspection, you know? That's almost how I read this song. Is introspection was a punishment. What do you think about that?
I I see it for sure because when he looks at himself, he sees himself molded in clay,
Yeah.
and he's scared of what he sees
Yeah.
because clay is this thing that is shaped, right? You
Yeah.
can like change it. You can change it by just like touching it or just yeah. That's as a kid that just seems like a very scary visual.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what's funny is I remember talking with you about the song. I did not like this song until a couple months ago, I think. Like October or November of 2025, I think is when I really started like thinking about the song more and liking this song. Um and I think it has a lot to do with like it definitely goes back to the imagery in this song. When a lot of people think about there's like a few lines in the song specifically that a lot of the opinions I've seen online about the song, they think he's like talking gibberish, right? And it's candles red, I have a pair, shadows dancing everywhere, burning on the angry chair, right? They think he's like talking gibberish here. This is actually he's directly referring to heroin usage here. So candles red, I have a pair. Um, if you have powdered heroin, you take candles or a lighter and you burn it. You burn the bottom side of it. It's on like tinfoil or something. You burn the bottom side of it um, with candles. The shadows dancing everywhere is the smoke that's burned off from the heroin. Um, and I believe it's called like chasing the dragon, I think is what they call it. But you inhale the smoke from the heroin. Um, and then he says burning on the angry chair. So we kind of talked about this earlier, but I think what he's talking about here is it's the introspection him sitting on that angry chair and looking at himself is directly what led to him using the heroin. It's that question that, like I said earlier, we ask so many addicts and so many of them are unable to answer is, why did you even start using in the first place? You know?
I see that. Yeah, that I wouldn't think that to be someone's first like thought, like when they would think, oh, when did someone started this addiction? I do think, at least in the modern day, to lesser extent, I do think people just use things like psychedelics or weed to be more introspective about themselves. I do think these things are tied to each other
Right.
as like an enhancement of the introspection. But as a kid, when you're like on it, like you're told to go on a chair and just like be introspective, and there's heroin involved, I think that's a very just that's very dangerous thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
And
just
then
I do really think that this introspection, like, it led to him in his later years, or at least, past adolescence. He really felt like introspection was a punishment. I think that that's kind of what this led to. That's how I feel about this song. Is it was a punishment and he was trying to remedy the punishment of just looking at himself, you know?
yeah, yeah, I think this is actually the most tragic song in this album. Like I think
Yeah.
tragic is a good word. I mean, in the latter half of the chorus, it's little boy made a mistake, and all that he wanted was to play, like just to be like a
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah.
And then the
I do
final
love
chorus is
the
I don't mind.
I don't mind. That's a great, yeah.
I don't
I think
mind
at that
lost
point
my
he's
mind.
high. Yeah, he's high at that point, right?
Yeah, and I
I
think
think
that's
that's
the
what this is
and I don't even
symbolizing.
think that's not gibberish, but I do think if people think that's about gibberish, yeah, that's where it gets to, but that's the high, that's not what happened before. Which for all these songs is the tragedy of all these songs is that something happened before these events.
Right.
Or for someone to write something like Rain When I Die,
Yeah.
I think.
It's a great song. Yeah. It's kind of crazy that I didn't even like that one until a couple months ago. Until I really took a good look at the lyrics and I was like, oh. I just think it starts kind of weird. I don't know. Maybe it
Yeah,
wasn't the best work
it's a
instrumentally, but
I think it's a progressive song though. I think as it goes along, it I do find it more palatable.
and yet we don't feel this way about Over Now. But that's
That's for
yeah, that's
a different time.
that is for a different time. Over
And
Now
this is like
is
and maybe it is over now because like one of my tape fell off
yeah,
for
I
my
see
recording
that.
studio.
Your
So
recording studio. I see
we're gonna feel
this.
a couple technical difficulties.
Probably address that the technical difficulties we just had. Um
Oh no, we should because I'm
what,
a
I don't
lot
even know what
blurrier.
just happened. What just happened?
No, I
Can you
mean my
like give
phone
us a
just
rundown?
I mean the quick rundown is I have a phone taped to my desktop. It's hard times. It's really hard times right now.
We're out here
You know,
producing despite all of the setbacks that I think have been pushed upon us.
I know, and that was Lane Staley's struggle too, apparently, because this album's peak. This album ends and closes in a in both great ways. Them
You are
Bones
really blurry now.
and
It's
Wood.
really funny, to be
I am
honest.
really blurry. I'm really blurry.
Yeah.
Blurred lines. Blurred lines.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, like you were saying, I think the album definitely ends in peak, and Wood is definitely there's a reason that it's one of their most streamed songs, I think.
One of my
Uh
favorite songs of all time.
really?
I think so. I think
Would you
top
put it
20. I'm gonna be
top 20? Oh,
honest.
top 20. Okay, yeah.
I'll go to top 20, yeah.
I mean, that is what a poser would that is where a poser would probably rank Wood. I think.
My bad. My favorite song isn't fucking Real Thing, I guess. I don't know. I don't know Ball. I don't know Ball. I don't
Real
know Alice in
thing.
Chains. It's a good song. It's a good song. We're talking about Wood, not Facelift. Facelift for a different day.
Yeah, facelift might be for not a day altogether. It's just kind of one of those albums.
It is
Uh,
one of those albums, but this one isn't.
yeah,
This one's
yeah.
one of the greats.
My
This one's one
bad.
of
We
the
have to
greats.
keep on track. This Dirt is definitely amazing album, and there's definitely a reason that Wood is one of the most streamed songs on this album. And even though it is definitely about heroin, much like the rest of the album, I think that it's also a pretty timeless song because of how well the lyrics were written. That you cannot be a heroin addict and you can still completely relate to the song, because it almost sounds like a relationship, like being in an argument with somebody is almost what it sounds like.
Yeah, unlike most of the songs on this album, it is the secondary character isn't the addiction, it is a person. And I think it's very telling from the last line, if I would, could you? Like
Right.
that is a direct reference to another person.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. And we were talking about some of the lyrics in specific, right? Into the flood again. Same old trip it was back then. So I made a big mistake. Try to see it once my way. Right. Obviously, the flood is referring to the addiction, and the same old trip is, literally the trip of being on heroin. But I think it's also interesting that you could definitely relate that directly to like the flood is like getting into an argument, and then the trip is like having to go through all of the motions of an argument, right? Like disagreeing, yelling with somebody, maybe even getting into like a physical altercation, you know.
Mhm. But heroin still does play a part in here because this song does start with "Know Me Broken by My Master."
Mhm.
Like that, the master is heroin, of course, sending him back into the flood, a flood of just conflict, probably with the other person in the song.
But what I'm saying though is I think that even that first line, right? Know me broken by my master. The reason why I think that this is such a good song to relate to, even like just it's kind of timeless, but for our generation as well, is to me this reads like an altercation maybe between a child and a parent as well, right? Because there's that obviously there's the heroin aspect, but you can also read it as like I said, the flood being the argument, and then the same old trip is like having the same argument over and over again. Know me broken by my master is this feeling of being like beaten down by whoever it is that's above you, which I think, and I feel like you could definitely relate to this to like not having a great relationship with a parent or somebody who's in charge of you.
Yeah, but and that's why this is such a wonderful song. There are very, very valid interpretations of this song. I think another one might be is just maybe the narrator knows they made a bad decision because why are they asking things like, have I run too far to get home? Like, has this addiction taken them to places far beyond the other person?
Right. Yeah, because he does say, yeah, with that tone he is saying like, have I left you here alone? That is a
Yeah.
fair point. Yeah. So somebody in this is neutral, I think. It's not like
Mhm.
a complete altercation.
It's yeah, it's written of inner conflict. The flood. The flood is perhaps perhaps the other person is also a heroin addict. That's a possibility here, but it is still an internal battle at the
Right.
beginning.
I guess maybe what I was kind of getting at too was like, I think that maybe that's why this is such a popular song and a streamed song. Because I don't think a lot of people are listening to this song and relating to, I hope, are not relating to it thinking, oh yeah, this was how I felt as a heroin user. I think that they're really listening to like the main chorus and they're relating that to like a relationship in some way. And that's why I'm like, I think that this is one of the most well written song, because the only part of this song that I think you can't relate directly to like just being in an altercation with somebody is uh drifting body, soul desertion, flying, quite the notion. I think that's the only part that to me that reads like, yeah, you're high, you know.
Yeah. It's a very powerful song.
It is.
I
It
forgot about
is.
that line.
Yeah. And of course the guitar work is interesting. I guess, one thing I want to ask, what do you think is the best song instrumentally on this album?
Instrumentally, I would
Yeah.
have to say the self-titled track. I think the
Dirt.
solo is very powerful on that song and the way it comes in. That song feels like a very the narrator is very frustrated in that song with their relationship with heroin, and it just like explodes in the middle, I think, with the solo, the guitar
Right.
solo.
That is definitely like when somebody says, "Give me a grudge song," I think Dirt. But it's almost like a little sludgy
Yeah.
as well, you know?
Oh, it
Like,
that's definitely the sludgiest thing on here too. That no,
yeah.
that riff makes it one of my favorite songs, I think. Ever. Ever one of my favorite
I
songs.
think I'd have to say that the I really like the solo in Them Bones. I think a lot of people like that solo just cuz it's so quick and it's just like, yeah. I mean, I really like that solo. I do think that Rain When I Die might be my favorite instrumentally. Even though there's not like a ton going on, I think the ending is pretty good. Um, but it really does feel like a progressive song. But it's also still kind of sludgy, you know?
Yeah.
So that might be my favorite instrumentally, I think.
To me, a lot of the effects used in this album, I think, add to the idea of like this isolated, barren landscape that is presented on the cover too.
Right. Yeah.
Like again with Them Bones is when this world is first like built up, and I think it continues in wood. Like I do
Yeah.
think these songs are very like cold. I think these songs are very cold.
To me, they feel very muddy. Like they don't feel like dirty to me. Because when I think of dirt, I think like grainy, you know?
Yeah, I think well that's the sludginess aspect, but I would agree
That's
with
what I'm
muddy,
saying.
and
Yeah.
mud can be
Yeah.
cold. Mud can be
Oh,
cold for
yeah.
sure,
No, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. It feels like a very muddy.
or like sticky as well.
Yeah.
Like
Sticky,
sticky.
I
Like I
think
feel
is
like
good.
angry chair feels very like yeah, sticky. Like and it sticks with you. Like I think parts of that, like I'll never forget the Dirt solo.
Oh, yeah.
The
Yeah. Yeah.
the them bones screams.
No,
Like
I agree.
yeah,
Yeah. I think that's a good way to describe it. It really like sticks to you as well, I think. It's a hard sound to forget. Like they're not very forgettable songs, you know. Like,
no.
yeah, you can
I
probably ask somebody
yeah.
who heard it once 20 years ago if they remember it, and I guarantee they'll tell you yeah, because they're just very memorable instrumentally.
And Alice in Chains is definitely one of those rock bands that has stayed relevant throughout the years,
Yes.
at
Yes.
least now for sure. And
And they're
yeah,
popular with our generation, I would say, honestly.
if we're talking like yeah, grunge bands, it's in the four in the big four.
And they're also definitely the best grunge band, but that is also a topic for a later episode, I think.
That is definitely an opinion I share, but an opinion nonetheless. But yes,
Yeah.
that is for
Yeah.
another
We'll see
episode.
what our newly formed haters have to say about that one, I think.
Maybe they're the posers.
I really hope we get somebody at some point trying to tell me why uh uh Lithium is like a better song than Rain When I Die. I would really like. I mean, okay, but it's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the songwriting in this album very effectively creates a picture in my mind.
Yeah. Mhm.
Inverse inverse to maybe something like Nirvana. But maybe that's why Nirvana's more palatable, I guess. But yeah, that's I do think that's why Nirvana's more palatable. But Dirt just really creates these pretty all the songs in this album I think create hellish imagery. It's like
Yeah.
orange.
I'd say red, but I mean, you're probably colorblind, so it's okay.
Okay. True. If you're wrong, you're colorblind nowadays. You just need to tack
I
on a
think that
disability, I guess, to being
okay.
wrong.
I'm just saying I think that worms probably don't have a great sense of color, or they probably don't have a great sense of uh music taste either, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. Some of us are a little more
Well,
prestigious on the food order, right? And I think that shines through. I think that shines through a little bit here, you know.
perhaps, but maybe that's just the sandwich's way of picking what they would like to consume, you know. But the worm is blind. The worm goes in blind sometimes, and sometimes it comes out with a good meal.
And
Sometimes it
sometimes
comes
it
out with a good
doesn't.
meal.
I mean, sometimes the worm eats acid. Do you think that you think that the acid is a condiment on the sandwich? I'm just saying, like,
Now, before we started recording, I thought we wouldn't get that personal and that detailed. Acid? Okay.
all right.
Acid bath is good though. I do like acid bath.
Oh, we're going to acid bath. I
That's a
mean,
good one. Good one.
I mean, look, we can talk about acid bath, but that just goes further into the poser because I didn't like acid bath at first either. I hated them. So
Oh,
yeah, but that's also a topic for another day. Yeah.
you are what you eat. You are what you eat.
Okay, this is rich coming from the worm. That's all I'm gonna say.
No, but I think it's quite topical about the things we enjoy. Like, does this out like as we said before, this album sticks with you, right?
Yeah.
So, do you think it like maybe influences the way you would listen to another album? Maybe like, do you think this is a big one for you?
Ooh, that is a really good
Like,
question.
like in rock music, for sure. This is like one of the big ones for me. Top five, like rock albums, I think.
See, I it's hard for me to it's definitely like one of my top albums. I don't know if I would say top 5, maybe, but I think I can answer that question but in a little bit of a different way because there are definitely song or albums that I've heard and they have gone on to influence every other album that I listen to because it's just so good to the point where it's like I can't even imagine hearing anything better, right? Like Meriden Alms does this for me, I think, where I'm like, it's influenced things to the point where I'm like, I can't imagine somebody trying to do something similar and me being like, oh yeah, this is better. Like I think this is like the top of the top, right? So, but for grunge, yes, I don't think that there's better grunge than Alice in Chains. I think that what they did in Dirt, that was the best way that you could do something like that.
It does capture the scene quite well, especially its relationship to many of its many of the big people in the scene having problems with heroin. I think this
Right.
definitely tells that story very effectively. Very
Yeah.
effectively.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one of the best drug albums. Not even of that time. I just think in general. I think it's one of the best drug albums.
And there are a lot of drug albums, but I don't think they really tap into the psychology as much.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
I
one
you know,
really tries to
I
empathize with the user. a little
I
bit.
think I can confidently say that this is probably the best drug album from a heroin user's perspective. I think that's a fair opinion
Yeah,
for me.
that's what I meant.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's and I've definitely have read a couple things of people on heroin saying that yeah, this album helped them out
Yeah.
because maybe it explained their feelings so clearly to them for the first time.
Right. Yeah. It's a sad life for Lane. And Jerry, he helped write a lot of these too. That's sad. You know, they were really so self aware. It's sad that you're so self aware that you can help other people who don't really understand why they're experiencing this problem is bad. I'm not trying to like reduce it, you know, like maybe they did, but to where you
Oh
can
yeah,
show them that light that you couldn't even give yourself. That's like really, oh man, that's rough.
that's that's what makes it so tragic. That's what makes this a tragic album. And I think tragic is a good thing in here because I think it does what music is supposed to do and be impactful.
Right.
So
Yeah.
while it is sad, this is also just this is a very important piece of art. This is a very important piece of art, I think.
We could do more of it nowadays. No hate, but
No, people are trying.
mm,
People are trying. Will they reach a pinnacle like this? No. I feel like I can confidently say that. I don't think you're going to reach
yeah.
this level of musicianship and songwriting. I don't think so.
Until I start making music, then
Until the sandwich takes a crack at the guitar.
yes,
Until
yes, yeah. Coming soon.
and
That's
until then.
episode 3. That's episode 3. But
Let's not
not really.
pre-launch that too quickly. That's not episode 3. Try 35, but
All right, I'm holding you to
we'll
that.
get there.
35. Yeah, we're getting
No,
there.
my singing chops have improved recently, I feel.
You're singing what?
My singing chops. I think it's I'm gonna pick
Can
that
we
up,
bring out the
chops.
middle of the meal thesaurus on this one? I don't know if I'm well versed
Let
in
me
what.
let me crack it open since I have it right next to me.
Do you?
Um yeah, and considering all these pages are blank, it might be time to wrap up, which I
I
think
think
we
so.
will.
I think so. Yeah.
I think it's time to wrap up this course, get this all to the dishwasher, the editing board. Hello, editor. Hello, sandwich.
Hello. Whoa. Let's back
Press the
up.
third wall there.
I thought we were doing this 50-50, as in I show up 50% of the time and then 50% of the time you do 100% of the editing.
I thought 50-50 meant 50-50 pay, just no matter what the work effort, but
Oh, that's
oh,
not in
that's
the that's later down the line, you know.
that's something to add in the thesaurus. 50-50 might mean doing equal amounts of work, but yeah,
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
I'll
Yeah.
I'll write a note on that. But no, I think this was a successful first episode on a very, very good album that is both
Yeah.
near to our
Down
hearts.
in the Dirt. Yeah, it's an incredible album.
Down in the dirt. So top three from the album.
All right. Rain When I Die, Wood, and Angry Chair is really growing on me, man. I don't. It may not be top 3 yet, but it's really getting there. But definitely Rain When I Die and Wood. How about you?
Um, for me, I think Dirt. I feel like I've listened to that song a lot during tough times, so I think that might be my favorite on the album. Number two is Wood, and number three is Rain When I Die. And an
Yeah.
honorable mention to Down in a Hole. I think Down in a Hole is a very effective song.
Ooh, Down in a Hole might be my third. I
In the gym, Down in a Hole is
That's
it's
an
very
interesting choice for a gym song, but I'm sorry that you're going through that.
yeah
But
yeah. Hey,
yeah,
Wings, dude. I think that visualization of Wings is strong. I
yeah,
think strong
no, I
visualization.
agree. Yeah. All right. Well, I think yeah, that definitely wraps up our very first meal. Hopefully, many more to come.
Oh no, many courses are cooking up, so stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for that, and also follow the TikTok and
Yeah,
the
please follow
Instagram.
the TikTok and the Instagram. Uh,
And
please.
this is going to be on YouTube and Spotify, this full version,
Yeah, yeah.
where you can
Indulge
see
yourself
us
in the full meal versus
in the full
be
meal.
a little greedy goblin eating up the little morsels we put on the other socials.
No, yes, Spotify listeners, beware. There are discreet warning. There are three skeletons on the screen at all times, and a mask figure in the sandwich's background. So
Yeah, we still don't have a
beware.
name for him, so
No. What about the rooster? What about the
ooh,
rooster?
yeah, that is the
Is that like
rooster.
the rooster? I
Yeah.
feel like the rooster is like a mythical figure, and I feel like that might be the rooster.
Yeah, I think this is the rooster. So the rooster and the three amigos. I think that's yeah, it's pretty good. I guess we'll
Oh
leave it
yeah,
on a high note there. So this is the sandwich signing off.
and the worm, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time.